Welcome to another episode of Systematic Geekology. This is a space where we seek to create and cultivate healthy conversations between those things we geek out on and the philosophical and theological questions that often arise out of our fandoms. Like, what does it mean to be human? What makes a hero? What makes a villain? How do the stories and narratives we geek out on shape how we live in the world? We are your priest to the geeks. We aren't all ordained, but we see ourselves as mediators at the intersection of geek culture and going deeper in our faith. We don't always have to agree, but we do respect each other, and we see everyone as a beloved child of God. Everyone geeks out on something, so come geek out with us and enjoy the show.
You're listening to an Anazal Ministries podcast. When was the last time you dropped piranhas in the school pool? Well, if it's been recent, you might be Wednesday Addams. Guys, welcome back to our Flix Fridays spring bonus series. We're going to have a lot of fun with this. We've been having a lot of fun with this series and excited to continue on discussing the Netflix shows that we enjoy, that our Facebook group voted on, that they most wanted to hear us speak about. I'm Joshua Noel, here with TJ Tiberius Blackwell, the founder of Netflix, as well as the universe, I think, probably. Justin Coleman was originally going to be on here with me, Reverend Justin. He had some family stuff, so TJ was like, well, he wasn't like volunteering. It was more like, can you? And he's like, I guess. So he watched Wednesday just for you. If you're listening, TJ did this just for you, so you should consider sponsoring the show for him. I think that's a fair trade.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. And you might like what I have to say about it.
Yeah.
But not if you like the show.
Which I think most people did. We're going to jump right into this one. First thing first, TJ, if you were Justin Coleman and you just finished this series, what would your first thoughts probably have been?
Oh, if I was Justin?
Yeah. In honor of him not being able to make it.
Wow, that's fantastic. I hope they do more in the Addams Family universe in this like same vein. Like I would love to see, Pugsley or Lurch or Morticia. Like
specifically just a series on the hand. That's it.
Yeah. Cousin It.
Yeah. Perfect.
That would be great.
Yeah. Thanks, Justin. I agree. No, I know Justin did wish he was here. He also really enjoyed the show like myself. For me, I'm putting this like right up there with a series on Unfortunate Events because, it's the same like dark, quirky kind of humor, except for it's Tim Burton. And I love Tim Burton. I also kind of grew up with the Addams Family. But before any of that, obviously I finished this and was like, when season 2, I literally immediately Googled when season 2 was going to happen and got no answers. TJ, what was your reaction after you first finished this?
I don't like this show.
That was your reaction the whole way through too, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I'd be like, that's kind of funny.
Yeah. So we picked it on Facebook. I was the initial one who put it up for the vote and was really excited when Justin was like, I want to do that too. And then the Facebook group actually voted it in because I was like, I didn't expect it to make it so many rounds because there's like so many other Netflix shows other people love. My worst opinion. I just don't like Stranger Things. It's boring and predictable. I don't get it. But that's why I'm not on the finale of our Flix Fridays series, where it's going to be 3 people who do love Stranger Things talking about it, because that'll probably be more fun for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, since everybody just loves hearing our excitement around these shows, TJ, why didn't you like Wednesday?
I feel like growing up, I was in like alt adjacent, like, friends with all the goth kids. I was just kind of friends with everybody growing up, small town. But I don't know if any of our listeners are going to understand what I'm saying, but there's a very specific vein of person who's constantly trying to be edgy for the purpose of creeping somebody out. And that's the vibe this show gave off to me all the way through. Because there's a stark contrast between the Addams Family show and the reboot movies from like the early 2000s, where it just feels like they are more themselves there. They're not doing it for the shock value. They're doing it because that's who they are. And I just didn't get that from Jenna Ortega here.
That's fair. I in a weird way, I do feel like Wednesday specifically was that. I think that was kind of intentional. But I think the rest of the family were genuinely just weird.
Yeah.
They were just freaks.
Yeah. The rest of the Addams, they were good. I like them.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit intentional. I'm curious what they do in the future with it, because I do think Wednesday's trying to be her own, and how can you be edgy in your own amongst a family that's literally the Munsters? Like it's like, my mom is literally a witch. I have a hand for an uncle, just a disembodied hand. It's like, how do you be edgy in that? And then she goes to like weird extremes, and it is a little bit forced. I think it's because she's trying to be her own, and it really desperately does not want to be her parents. And then it just comes off kind of And it's really funny when you put it in contrast with her roommate, which is where you got some of the best memes when the show was on. Yeah. Which also was something I really appreciate about the show, is that the roommate was like perky and happy and really colorful, but like it's a Tim Burton show. So it wasn't like Barbie colorful. Like it was like colorful, but still kind of fit the universe. Like it didn't not fit what was happening.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like they played the juxtaposition a little bit too hard, and I get it. It's campy. It's supposed to be kind of like that.
Yeah.
I'm media literate. I understand. This is still my least favorite Tim Burton project.
Bold. Although I can't think of many Tim Burton. Actually, Tim Burton did Frankenweenie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't care for that.
No, it's good.
Anyway, why do you think though? I do get what you're saying. I kind of feel like it's a little bit intentional. I'm not 100% sure, but why do you think for so many other people this show is so bingeable? Like so many people did gravitate towards this.
I understand it. A lot of people your age can kind of like see themselves in Wednesday as like the person who didn't fit in, or was trying to stand out and didn't want to fit in.
Mm-hmm. It's like, I think it's very millennial in a way. What's weird to me.
Also, I looked it up really quick just to make sure I wasn't missing anything. And to clarify, I do indeed think Planet of the Apes 2001, Tim Burton Batman, live action and animated, Frankenweenie, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and Mars Attacks are all better than this.
Yeah, strong disagree. But
and Dumbo.
Dumbo was good though. I'm with you on Dumbo. I actually did like that one. But so yeah, I don't know. For me, I think it was bingeable just because it was so quirky, and I just like quirky things, and I just like Tim Burton's vibe, and the whole show just oozed Tim Burton. But yeah, I still do understand what you're saying, and it's kind of making me rethink things. But I still think I'm on the, I enjoyed it.
No, you should like what you like.
I want to keep enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what's weird though, so like you mentioned the whole the fitting in stuff, and like people in my generation, I think what's interesting is she's trying to stand out in a family that's already freaks. So she's like the freak among the freaks. And it's so funny, like I was the freak among the freaks for a very different reason. Because like people are like, oh yeah, you're weird and don't fit in. You obviously like this music. And I'm like, yeah, no, I've literally never heard of that. like I was weird and also vanilla. So like I was the weirdo among the weirdos for all the wrong reasons. Yeah.
Yeah. He's never heard of anything.
It's pretty accurate. I feel like you could probably do a demonstration if you wanted to, but that's not what this is about.
That's not what this is about.
Okay, so TJ, if you were Justin, though, how would you convince other people that they need to check the series out?
If I was Justin, I would just smile and I would say,
I think, yeah,
you got to check it out.
It's cheating because like it's really hard not to, like, if Justin tells you to do something or is like, oh man, this is great. Like,
yeah. If Justin asked me to do something, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Love that guy. Okay. So I don't know, for myself, To me, it really is just a matter of like, do you like Tim Burton? Did you grow up with the Munsters? If so, I think this is worth it. There is a little bit of a, I feel like it doesn't quite fit noir. What is it?
Noir.
There's a little bit of a mystery, but it's not quite that.
I mean, I feel like it's noir-esque. Yeah.
I enjoyed the mystery. For me, it's annoying because they use kind of a, spoiler alert, whatever. They use kind of a cliche that still caught me off guard where it's like, oh, who's the killer? Oh, there's actually two of them. And for some reason, it still got me. And I'm like, I should have seen that. That's such an overused plot. Good. Yeah, but it got me still. I was like,
shout out Scream 2.
Yes, Scream 2. All the Scream movies are great. Are you excited for him to be back for the new Scream movie?
Yeah, I mean, I was excited for him in Mortal Kombat 1. I'm not really.
No, yeah.
We'll see how the new movie is.
Fair. Okay, so there's a bunch of different themes and stuff throughout. She's starting to get psychic powers and also going to the boarding school her mom went to and realizes, I think, she's becoming her mom, but desperately wants to be her own person. And that sucks. Real quick, though, like psychic visions, prophecies, that's all part of this. TJ, do you believe in such things? And if so, how do they work?
I believe they exist, and I believe it's a side effect of time being circular.
So this is one of those where like we actually just disagree. This is fun because I don't think time's just not a thing. So
that's the same.
Yeah. That could be a long conversation, so we won't sit there. People are probably tired of hearing me talk about time. They should go back to our Pokemon episode at the beginning of the year, though. That was a good one. We talked about time there. I do think, and it's hard for me because I don't believe in time, but I still think that prophecy happens. I've had people prophesy over me growing up Pentecostal and got pretty darn accurate stuff sometimes, but also a lot of stuff that is just completely wrong and like completely BS. So I'm like, I'm not sure. One of the weird ones for me, and I don't, I'm not biblical inerrancy, so I'm not like everything in the Bible is 100% true, but I still think the Bible has authority and is true. Biblically, the thing with prophecies, at least, one, a lot of times in the New Testament, when it talks about prophecy, it's not talking about someone who's telling the future. It's literally talking about somebody who has wise words to say, who can just kind of read the room, basically. So in that sense, TJ would be a prophet. TJ is really good at reading the room and usually is like, Josh, not now. And I'm like, oh. And in that sense, TJ is being a prophet, but a prophet that's literally just keeping me from saying stupid stuff. But in the sense of like seeing the future, that does still exist, even in the New Testament. In Acts, there's a really interesting example where someone gives a prophecy to Paul of what's going to happen. And it's really close, but it's technically wrong because the different people capture him than what he said was going to capture Paul. I think he said the Romans were going to capture him, but then the Jews actually captured him. But he came really close. He got where and what was going to happen, right? Just not who did it. Which is one of those where it's like, maybe there's something to all this, but also even the one prophet in Acts didn't completely get it right. So I don't know. Prophecies are weird. That's all. How do we decide who to trust, TJ? Do we trust anybody who calls themselves a prophet? Do we trust people who are over us in school or our pastors? Like, how do we know? Because, in this, there is a theme because some of the leaders of the school aren't very trustworthy. She knows she can trust her parents, but she doesn't want to go to them because she doesn't want them to have that validation, basically, that she's becoming like them. There's a lot of stuff about who to trust. How do you know what someone really is or who they're really like? And even you said, like, Jennifer Ortega's character, Wednesday, the titular character, does seem like she's putting on a show the whole time a little bit. So we can't even really trust what she says, I guess. I don't know. How do we know what to trust, who someone really is, etc.?
Well, I like to trust people. So I just trust people.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, I feel like I pretty much do the same thing. In my mind, I'm just going to trust somebody until it's not proven not true. Unless, here's a weird rule I have myself. If TJ for some reason were to tell me something about Will, I just assume it's not true. Like, I completely ignore everything TJ said about Will. Like, if TJ's like, Will's like a hardcore pothead, in my mind, that's just not a thing until I literally see Will do it or Will tells me. Like, I just refuse to accept gossip. If you gossip to me, I might listen, but I'm just not retaining the information at all.
No, that's still just trust.
Just
you
not trusting the
in
person
Will's
telling me. I'm
character.
trusting the original person.
Yeah.
But that goes for anybody. Like, not even like,
Also,
like if I
not
work
a thing
and a
that
new person
happens.
comes in
By the way,
the show,
no, like
or just in general.
me talking. That's just not a thing that happens.
Yeah, you don't gossip about people. But like, okay, so like at work though, if a new person gets hired, someone like happens to know them, like, oh yeah, he's a really bad motorcyclist. I don't know why I went with motorcyclist. I'm just thinking of that South Park episode where they make loud noises through town and everybody hates them. But like, you know, I just ignore that until I literally see the guy come in on a motorcycle. Then I'm like, okay, yeah, he drives a loud motorcycle. I just refuse to accept what you tell me about other people because I don't know. Just a principle. I mean, you can gossip.
Yeah,
I feel like that's an okay thing to be.
it is.
Yeah. Okay, so around the trust, around the prophecies, all the other stuff we talked about, we've hinted around it the whole time. This is going to be a very short Flix Fridays. She's trying to wrestle with like who she is as a person, right? Like Wednesday. She doesn't want to be her parents. She's trying to stand out. She literally is in a school of vampires, werewolves, sirens, and monsters and other like goths. And she's still trying to be the dark, edgy kid in the group of already dark, edgy monster kids.
Yep.
And it's really, I feel like she really struggles to figure out what does it mean to have her own individuality amongst that kind of family, that kind of school, the kind of Tim Burton universe. Like if I was in a Tim Burton universe, I would just be way too boring to be on a podcast.
Yeah.
I'm already borderline too boring to be on a podcast.
I do think that's one of the more interesting things in the show, because it's calling out that group of like who make their click their entire personality, which like you're at that point, you're not unique. You're just one of a different group.
Yeah, yeah, because you see that with like the sirens, the wolves, and all that. They all have their own little cliques, and then even outside of that, it's like the school is their own group, and then the town's its own group. There's a lot of like, I don't know, almost like prejudices, but it's not necessarily racial all the time. Some of it is, I think, but some of it's literally just
Was a werewolf.
werewolves are cooler than vampires. You know. Are there vampires? I feel like there was. I don't remember now. Anyway, there are werewolves and there are sirens. I just don't remember any werewolf characters now that I think about it. Werewolves exist in the Addams universe, though. Addams universe, yeah. Yeah, but so going further into that, though, it kind of reminds me of like, you see this a lot in cartoons where it's like, I'm going to be different like everybody else kind of thing, right? How, like, everybody is trying to be their own person. Like, that's just a fact, a real world. Even outside of high school, it gets dramatized for TV, and in high school it's like really obvious that everyone's trying to be their own person. But even as adults, like, it's still a thing. Like, I don't want you to think that, oh yeah, Josh, he's just like all those other people who podcast, or Josh is just like, you know, Josh and TJ are just like all the other guys who work at Chipotle. You know, like, I don't like that. But at the same time, I realize everybody's trying to be unique, and in a way, I am just trying to be unique like everybody else. You know. So how do we escape that? Is that just a paradox we're all stuck in?
You just be yourself.
Explain. Just have really bad opinions.
Yeah, I just live my life, and whatever people want to say about me, they can't. I'll get at work a lot of times. Someone will come up to me and be like, "You know, she said this," and I was like, "I don't care. She can say whatever she wants."
Yeah. I think it is a thing, and it's funny because it's like there was like a big cultural push against this too, where it's like, oh, you're just being hipster. I remember that being a thing that people said a lot in college when you didn't like something that everybody else would like.
To be fair,
you're supposed to like.
I know people like that
Who are
like,
actually just being hipster.
who are like actually just don't like something if it's too popular.
Yeah. Well, in a weird way, I kind of get it. Like, sometimes it really is annoying when it's like literally everyone in the universe loves. What's funny is Iron Man's a really good example, except for I didn't like Iron Man before anybody knew who Iron Man was. My first conversations about not liking Iron Man involved me explaining to people who Iron Man was so I could tell them that I didn't like Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
which is a very hipster thing to say. I didn't like Iron Man before he was cool. You know, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked Iron Man when everyone hated him.
I still don't like him.
I liked Iron Man when he was fighting the Mandarin. The original Mandarin.
I cheered for the Mandarin back then with the animated series. Anyway, I was a weird kid. I cheered for the Mandarin and I cheered for Lex Luthor. And see, like that's a good example too. Like, I honestly don't know, because I was a kid, if I was just trying to be weird or if I just genuinely didn't like Superman and Iron Man. You know?
Yeah, I think not liking Superman is indicative of a negative spirit.
Well, until recently. So now I've come to terms with appreciating Superman. Until recently, though, it was more of like it's just annoying. He literally is just invincible. That's such a boring character. So I think it was less like me cheering against the person, and like it was like a puzzle. Like, oh, he can't be stopped, and I'm like, well, now I want to know how to stop him. And I think like my kid brain was just like, there's got to be a way he could die.
Doomsday.
It was like a puzzle, you know? Yeah. Well, I didn't know about Doomsday. But anyway, going back to like the topic, though, I just kind of thinking of like, it is difficult to try to be unique in a world where everyone's trying to be unique. And I think until you accept that you're never going to be unique, you'll never be your own person. And it's just a really annoying paradox.
Yeah, you just have to get over it.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. You don't want to be unique.
It's true.
You want to know people who are like you.
Yeah.
So you can hang out with them and form a community.
Yeah. I found, of course, I'm going to find a way to bring it back to Kingdom Hearts. One of the things I've actually really enjoyed is, for a long time, I was the weirdo who liked Kingdom Hearts, and I was just like, I don't really care. Like, I know other people like it too, but like, there wasn't many people obsessed with it the way I am. But now the internet exists, so I find other weirdos who are obsessed with it. And it's really funny because like you find like groups who are like, yeah, Kingdom Hearts fans. You know, those people who are like, whatever, you know, like they'll plug something in, like, yeah, who just completely don't question the fact that first game, romance, second game, but Riku. And we're all like, yeah, it's fine. We just ignore it. And it is, there's a thing of like all Kingdom Hearts fans have just all agreed that we do not care that continuity just doesn't really exist. Like, in all honesty, there is no, you know, it was not planned out. We all know it wasn't planned out. It's going to be retconned probably in a tweet later today. And we're just all fine with that.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, I thought I was the only one who saw all the holes and decided to ignore them. And then I got really aggravated because other people were like me. Then I was like, actually, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool that there's just all these other people who had the same experience as me, who are also overlooking the same holes because the experience is worth it anyway. And it's kind of like, okay, I'm a stereotype. But at least it's like something I could share with people out in the world. And I think that's the thing. Like, no matter what uniqueness it is, in some ways, most of us do fall into a stereotype. And the question is, are you going to fight against that and be upset that you're not unique, or are you going to embrace it and have community? And I think community is what makes life worth it. So maybe just embrace whatever your stereotype is.
Yeah, sure. It's a weird way to say it.
Okay, what are your thoughts? I'm still wrestling with this. I
already said that.
Actually plan out thinking any of this.
Yeah, I already said that.
Okay.
The same thing you just said.
But without using annoying words.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, any other thoughts about Wednesday, Tim Burton, finding your own personhood?
I think the true strength of the Addams family is that they're still a family and they still love each other. And at the end of the day, every day, they still love each other. And I think that is the biggest piece of what's missing from Wednesday. We just don't get enough of that.
More of the actual family.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. Yeah, I like the bits we did see of the family, though. I do wish they were a little more prevalent, but I understand the show is literally called Wednesday.
Yeah, it's about Wednesday.
So, like,
yeah, I get it.
But I also see where you're coming from.
Addams Family Values was also like predominantly about Wednesday, and Pugsley was still there.
Okay, beginning of the show, the piranhas thing. Are you pro her trying to murder the boys who bullied her brother? Or are you like, hold on?
I am anti-piranha abuse.
So your concerns about the piranhas?
Because they are going to die.
Because they don't belong in a pool?
Yeah, they got dumped into a chlorinated pool. They're going to die. They probably got killed anyway because they attacked a person in a pool.
That is
also
animal abuse.
That's not
actually,
how piranhas That's not how piranhas work. They don't just chase people.
Maybe they do in this universe,
unless you specifically starved them.
Yeah. Also, this will be my other last note. We just have time to kill, so I was just thinking about it. We're in a weird age. We're like between Wednesday and her parents as far as age ranges go. I feel like. Who do you relate more to? Like in the scenario, like the kid who wants to be her own person, or the parent who's wanting to see something of themselves in someone else. As managers, as people who've been leaders in church, I feel like both of us probably have had that desire of we want to instill something that we've learned of ourselves into someone else. But we also are still kind of becoming our own person, maybe. I'm unsure.
Lurch.
What?
Lurch is who I relate to the most.
Please tell me more.
Do job. Job good.
And for those listening, who's Lurch?
Lurch is the butler of the Addams family. Frankenstein's monster, right? Basically.
Oh, he wasn't even present, was he?
Yes, he was. He was driving the car in the first episode.
Oh, yeah. That doesn't count.
This does.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, I'm going to say I relate to the hand more. Says just it, right? Is that what the hand's called?
Cousin It.
Cousin It.
Or no, the hand is the thing, right?
I don't remember.
Because Cousin It is the hair.
Oh, yeah. Well, as TJ does research briefly, I'm going to explain why I relate to the hand.
Yeah, it's thing. Yeah, I was right.
Thing. Okay. I just like his whole thing is just support. And a lot of times, that's really what I feel like. At one point, I wanted to be unique. That was a whole thing. We had a meaningful conversation here about it. I think still a meaningful thing. But at some point, I stopped caring about that as much. And I'm at a point now in my life where, I just want to... How can I support others best? And I feel like that's Thing's whole thing. And it's kind of my whole thing. So
I do
dig it.
We are in the era for Thing to have his moment. He used to be limited to a guy under a table with his hand in a box.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if James Gunn did the Thing movie and it was literally about the hand or series, I think it would be great. If specifically James Gunn directed it. It would be fantastic. Yeah. He's great at weird characters. Yeah. All right. Any final notes before we wrap this up then?
I don't think so.
All right. Guys, I do recommend watching it. It's a lot of fun. Boarding school, monsters, Addams family, cool, really great music. Tim Burton quirkiness, fun time, dark humor. For some reason, my two favorite Netflix series both are just dark humor and quirkiness. Most of my favorite things aren't that. It just turns out that when it comes to Netflix products, that's what I appreciate the most, I guess, because Daredevil doesn't count anymore. Anyway. TJ, if you were to binge another show or do something after you finish this to fill in the void, although for you maybe it's to make yourself feel better because you just feel like you wasted however many hours. What do you do after you binge this? And you actually did just binge this, so you can answer this honestly.
I didn't do this. I just kind of do what I always do, and I got on a competitive FPS game.
What's FPS?
First person shooter.
Oh, okay.
Also, longtime fans of the show, you might remember my Apex Legends era. We're back. I'm back on the game. We are back on Apex Legends. They've changed a lot. Back on Stormpoint. That means nothing to you because this is not visual, but still. But if I was just in an Addams Family mood after watching this, which I wasn't, I would either go watch the 84 series or I would go watch the Addams Family and then Addams Family Values by Barry Sonnenfeld. I think those movies are great.
What's funny is I feel like I said this after we did the series Unfortunate Events. I was like, I want to play a game instead. It really is true. I feel like after binging something, I want to do something. I don't want to just watch another show. So what I'm about to do, right after we're done recording, I'm going to start playing Final Fantasy 15. So I guess that's what I would do after I binged Wednesday. Not really related at all, but
no.
That's what I'm doing.
I've spent at least 12 hours fishing on Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, I hope I don't, but I feel like I might. I fear I might. Fishing is more fun than it should be. Yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you again so much for joining us and hearing why TJ did not like Wednesday. We hope that you rate and review our show on Podchaser, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Please give us a higher rating than TJ would give Wednesday. Check out all the rest of the Flix Friday series down below with the link. Come back next week when we're people who like Stranger Things. We'll be talking about Stranger Things. And remember, you're all a chosen people, a geekdom of priest. Later.
Here at Systematic Ecology, we believe in a few things. We believe that there is freedom in Christ to like what you like. We believe that Christian nationalism is a heresy. And probably most important that I'm going to talk about today, at least, is that we believe the best place to spend your extra cash is on the Systematic Ecology merch store. That's right. This is a shameless shill for our own products. We go through Creator Spring, and we have a few great products on there. Me personally, I'm a big like black shirt kind of guy, muted colors. But there's nothing better to like throw a little something extra on there with like a black baseball cap, the dad hat with the Systematic Ecology logo on it. That's a classic. I just really think if you got a couple, $30 extra, that's for us.
Hello, Systematic Ecology listeners. This is Kevin here. Just want to give a brief ad for some of the other podcasts in our Anazao podcast network. First of all, off is Let Nothing Move You by Christian Ashley, in which Christian goes through the Bible one chapter at a time and gives his thoughts there. There is also the Bible After Hours, which is a more progressive take on the Bible that tries to challenge the status quo with satire and looks at theology. The host uses the pseudonym The Foul-Mouthed Preacher. And as a bonus, Joshua Noel does the voices for this one. So definitely check that one out. And also, and we'll laugh about that later, is the newest podcast that our own Will Rose is starting, where he will interview friends about a story they had that wasn't funny at the time, but that they laugh about now. So definitely check out these shows and subscribe to us wherever you get your pods. Thank you very much.